IVM.
Hey guys, welcome to the Positively Unlimited podcast. And this episode is possibly going to air during the week of World Mental Health Day 2019. So I have a special one for you. And it's called Delusive Decisions. Wondering what that first word means? Well, it's about the decisions that we take based on certain beliefs, whether they're our own or whether they're someone else's, which at some point we realize wasn't a very good decision. And then we feel stuck because we don't see how to get out without hurting ourselves or hurting someone else or facing the fact that we've wasted time. And, well, some of us quit and then we get lost for a period of time because we're trying to figure out what to do next. Some of us don't quit and we push forward and we complete it, but we don't complete it very well. And then that results in not having the kind of opportunities that you once thought you would have, or the belief that you will not succeed the way you thought you would succeed. Now, I'm going to ask you to just rewind and listen to what I just said once again. And maybe there's a bunch of you out there listening to this who have faced this or are facing this. So recently, I was at a global leaders program called Hive in Delhi, and I met a 23-year-old or 24-year-old girl from Nepal. Well, she was a topper in her class. She did very well. She got scholarships, completed her courses in finance, and also got a really well-paying job in a bank in Kathmandu. I'm not sure whether it was the bank or the treasury department or something, but a really well-paying job for a first job, and even a great designation and role. However, 6 months into this role, she realized that she can't do this because she's not enjoying it at all. Now, while she enjoyed herself in the entire studying phase and she scored really well, she topped all her classes. So she really reveled in the success, and she got a job that everyone turned around and told her how proud they were of her because of it. So she held on to the job for a while. 6 months turned into 8 months, I think, or so. And finally, after that, she quit. But when she wanted to quit, she had to convince everybody that she really needed to do this. Because not that people didn't support her, but most of the people thought that she had gone nuts. They thought that she was being too quick to decide, that she was not truly respecting the opportunity that she had got, that a career like this is an opportunity that not many people get and she's a fool to let it go. But what a lot of people did not ask her was, are you happy in this? Does this give you joy? And while her parents and close family eventually supported her because she had the courage to sit them down and say that I understand what all of y'all are saying, but that paycheck and that designation doesn't mean much because I'm not happy. I wake up in the morning not wanting to go to work and I come back home wanting to cry. I don't know if this is the industry and the field that I want to work in. I don't know if I want to be sitting in front of the computer in this organization clicking buttons. So eventually she quit it. And that's how I met her at the Global Leaders Program, because she had come to find her purpose and to figure out what are the options for her out there. Now, this was a girl who managed to do this. I know that there are many of us out there who have not managed to do this or who can't manage to do this. Why? Well, one, because you're afraid of letting your parents down, because they have told you that becoming a chartered accountant is the only thing that you should do and that's how they will be proud of you. Or they've told you that if you don't get married to a person of their choice, then they're going to feel let down and you will bring shame upon the family. Or even the fact that if you don't get married at this particular age, you're just being a burden on them or you're not taking on your responsibilities, irrespective of gender. So these are the belief systems that then play on our mind, and they make us take certain decisions and they make it very hard for us to go back on those decisions, right? I'm going to try and break this down into 2 different scenarios. One is about the career. Well, let me say this, that I changed 5 jobs in 5 industries over 15 years of working the 9-to-5 system. before I finally figured out my calling to be a life coach and an alternative healer. And the only reason that I got this far was because I was willing to get up and take chances and try new things. I always got up and said, what's my worst case scenario? I'll go back and find something in that industry. Or what's my worst case scenario when I try to start my own business, that I will quit and have to take up a job again? And this worst case scenario piece, the truth that comes out when you answer that question, it helped me take a lot of decisions, right? But you've got to think about what is at stake. So here's what you can try. On a piece of paper, write down, what will happen if you quit doing that course that you hate? Or if you quit the job that you have been working in? How will that affect your life and your relationships? So the question you want to answer is, what will happen if you quit? Once you have written down and you have a list of that, ask yourself which of those effects you can deal with and they're not that big a deal and you can work around it, and which ones on that list are things that you cannot handle. Now, once you have put that down, then you can start figuring out how to work on the things that you think you cannot handle. And maybe you won't be able to quit overnight, but 6 months, 8 months into this space, you might be able to find a way out. If this is coming from your personal space, if this is about getting married, if it's about having a relationship, well, one, ask yourself, do you want to get married right now? 2, I know that in the personal space, especially in our country, given our culture, given our belief system, it's hard to stand up against your parents and say that I don't agree with this. But first, just answer the same set of questions. What will happen if you say, no, I'm not ready for this, or no, this does not work for me? Also, you want to ask yourself this question. Do you want to get married right now? And is this your choice? Is this your desire? Or it is something you have been made to believe is your desire? Once you have clarity of that, then you can start working your way around these things. What I'm doing here is I'm using a principle that I've spoken about in a previous episode of mine. I am breaking it down to build it up. I'm breaking down all the thoughts in my head, the feelings that are rising up because of this one situation. I'm putting it down on paper so that I can tackle one thing at a time. I can peel one layer at a time. And that's what you want to think of doing. You know, as far as the career goes, I also want to say this, and I'm saying this to a lot of listeners who are in their 20s and to a bunch of the others who are in their 30s as well. Maybe even their 40s and, wondering where my career goes to next. Listen to the episode that's titled Timing of My Life, and you will understand that everything happens for a reason, everything has a purpose and a function, and no experience is wasted. I believe I've spoken a little bit about this in that episode, Timing of My Life, but I'm going to say it again. I worked in advertising and publishing and digital media before I became a life coach. And those 15 years set me up to help me build and market my personal practice today. If I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have the tools and skills I have now to succeed at what I do so well. So here's a thought I would like to sign off on. Nothing is wasted. Every experience that you have had is going to be useful to you. It is a resource. It is going to play a part in whatever it is you are creating right now in your life. So once again, I say this, nothing is wasted. And on that note, I'm going to sign off and remind you that you can listen to all the previous episodes on the IVM Podcasts app as well as their website. And you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is @PositivityAngel. If you would like me to talk about something specific, a particular topic that may be bothering you, well, DM me on Instagram and I will try and figure out an episode on it. So I catch you again next Monday.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you enjoy listening to content on the IVM Podcast Network, let me tell you about a couple of things that you should check out this week. On IVM Likes, Abbas, Madhuri, Ritika, and Antariksh talk about pop culture that they never tire of and give you some cool recommendations to check out. On Know Your Kanun, Ambar is joined by Arzu, an LLB student, social activist, environmentalist. They talk about the data protection laws in India. On Agla Station Adulthood, Ritasha and Ayushi discuss the importance of health and taking care of oneself in the early stages of adulthood. On Keeping It Queer, Anish Kawande returns to join Naveen and Farhad to discuss adolescent and celebrity crushes. On Football Shitball, Gaurav, Karthik and Siva round up the Premier League weekend and talk about the absolute demolition Bayern Munich inflicted upon Tottenham. On The Origin of Things, Chuck narrates a story about a criminal from Portland, Oregon, whose infamous last words have become the slogan for a famous brand. Thanks, and we hope to see you again soon.
This is the amazing story of something awesome. Once, Chuck decided to start a podcast. And so he did. The end. Okay, that was a crappy story. But I've got some really cool stories over at my new show, The Origin of Things. On this podcast, I look at the stories of how brands came into being and sometimes evolved out of quite unexpected circumstances. And to make it really fun, I reveal the name of the brand and sometimes a category only at the very end. The show is 5 to 7 minutes per episode and perfect for trivia junkies and brand nerds, especially those with short attention spans. New episodes out every Wednesday on IVM Podcasts app or website or any podcast app or site that you happen to prefer. End of story, they lived happily ever after.